Welcome to Separation Nation. Hey, we're glad you joined us today. We are shooting this around the weekend of Halloween. We've already had to stop and restart fresh here because there was a ghost apparently in the room moving Scott Connell's mic all around, so we're ready to go. For those of you that don't know, I bring that up to lead in, but our corporate office building here downtown Valdosta is considered the oldest building in downtown Valdosta. And so those of you that's listening to this, it'll be the week after Halloween when you hear this. But we were joking about a ghost being up here because the mic kept moving involuntarily. But this building we're in is the oldest building, and this was Doc Holliday. Some of you will remember this was Doc Holliday's parents' bathhouse that they ran right here in downtown Valdosta. So we do have a few occurrences from time to time. It was one day I was up here by myself, and we had just the loudest framming of a metal, sounded like just metal on metal. And I went into what is my wife's office now, and there's a metal filing cabinet in there. And one of the filing drawers that I had just been in there 10 minutes previously and shut. And you know with filing cabinets, when you shut the drawer, it catches. You got to mash the little button to pull the drawer out. The thing was wide open and looked like files had been thrown out of it. So you're going to let's all sit together. Ooh, I got to give you a chill. But anyway, we were joking. We were having fun up here before we started shooting today talking about that. So I don't know, heck, maybe you believe in ghosts, Connell?
Just the Holy Ghost.
Just the Holy Ghost. So maybe there's a few ghosts around here. But anyways, we got Scott Connell with us today. I've known Scott pretty much my whole life. We went to school together in Cook County. He was from the Sparks, Metroplex area of Sparks and Adel. Together with me. We grew up and went to school together and went to church together for a number of years. And so, but Scott reached out to us back in 2017. Is that right? End of 17?
Yeah, end of 17.
And got started with us at the beginning of 2018 here at Agents Resource Group. And in just a short amount of time has experienced phenomenal success. He's a vice president with us, manages a team of his own that's continuing to grow. And so, we're kind of continuing in the same vein that we've been in for the past few weeks. Of course, just to address this, some of you say, well, where's John Tanner at today? For those of you that's at least watching the video, John is sitting this one out today. He's had a prior engagement he's had to be at. And so we got Connell jumping in here with us, which we were going to have Scott on with us today anyhow. And so Scott's just getting to be the guest and the co-host with me today. But we're going to keep in the vein that we've been in, kind of talking about the business we're in and what we're wanting to do for a lot of you that are more industry specific, or maybe you've had an interest in our industry, what we do. This is the fourth show, I believe, now that we've done that's kind of delved more specifically into the final expense insurance business, our career field, and just the real practical impact that it has on the lives of people that get in, give it their all, really commit and get fired up and make the thing go to work for them. And so, again, Scott started with us beginning of 18. It just has really had a compound effect to his success. I mean, he's moved exponentially up the ranks, not only in our company, but in the industry. And is just really positioned for great growth. And so we wanted to have him on today, and we'll be having a few more guests on that are inside our company here because we want you to hear these stories. I mean, if you hadn't, go back and listen last week, we had Clint Ashley, another vice president, with us on the show and just kind of really practically told his story, what he thinks it takes to be successful in this business, what's made him successful, and really just completely turned his life around about face from what he used to experience in life to since 2015, really delving into the business headstrong, giving it all he's got, and the change it's brought to he and his family's life. So some great stories there. We had some fun, cut up a little bit too. So it's an entertaining episode. Go back and listen to that with Clint Ashley from last week. But Scott, glad to have you on here, and kind of tell us, I mean, what was it initially that kind of attracted you to this business? Kind of give us a little bit of your story. What was you doing previously? Kind of how was life for you, and what prompted you to look at the career field of life insurance and final expense industry?
Okay. Well, I was actually in sales for several years before my insurance time. I was selling water treatment at the time. I did pretty good at it. Won quite a few contests and trips with that. There was lots of ups and downs with it. At the end of the day, I just didn't make the kind of money that I felt like I needed to make and should be making for the effort that I was putting in. And I was working 6 days a week. Every now and then I'd be scheduling appointments on Sunday evening after church, after the fried chicken. But so I really watched Justin. Of course, we grew up together, and John on social media for several years and saw what they did, all the places they were going. Kept seeing the leaderboards being posted. The main thing was I've always wanted to travel the world, and it looked like a great way to be able to travel the world and make a lot of money, have some fun doing it. So that's really what got me into the industry initially.
Yeah. So, which I remember the first meeting you was at and came to with us, and you know, when you got started, I mean, what was your opinion of the industry getting started? Did you feel like it was hard, or a big adjustment from the water sales that you had done? What was different about this sales job? Because you'd been in sales jobs before, okay? I mean, what was really different that made it begin to click for you, and you realized, okay, this went from something that looked good through social media that I've started trying. Now I'm practically doing it. And that there was a certain point in there that I remember, you know, you went from kind of figuring things out for X amount of months, and then it was like a switch flipped and it clicked, and then the consistency kicked in. And I mean, you were consistent and fired up and moving forward, and just really hadn't looked back since. I mean, what was kind of the aha moment that helped you realize this is different than any sales career I've done before? This is actually something that I can see myself doing for the rest of my life, and growing into a phenomenal team, a phenomenal company of my own. Of course, now you've got your own group, the Connell Insurance Group, and that you're recruiting, you're branding and recruiting and marketing under, which is part of the Agents Resource Group family. But what was that kind of moment that you felt like it really clicked in and the business started to make sense for you?
Yeah. Well, initially the first difference was I've always been pretty strong in the actual closing part of the sale, because before I was going into houses and having to create a sale where one didn't even exist in the first place. Right. These people, they wanted to watch my presentation because they got a free gift at the end. That's really what it boiled down to. By the time I left, they were buying a $6,500 water treatment system that they had no idea they needed before I walked in. So that was a major change. People were writing a $6,500 check. Now they're writing a $60 check. That's huge. Mm-hmm. Now when I go to homes and I start talking about their life insurance, half the time they don't have any. They've always wanted some, just didn't know how to get it, or, you know, what a good rate would be. And now I'm able to provide them with that service and the assurance that, you know, they are dealing with a quality product. In addition to that, now, as we've changed some of our platforms over with Senior Life, now they even get living benefits with that, which is, you know, was unheard of to me, when I first got into business, as well as, you know, a lot of other discount programs as far as the burial goes. Right. So that's really been tremendous. I guess I really didn't answer your question in full about what was the turning point for me, but the turning point really was for me whenever I realized that it was all up to me, and I had a value. You know, sometimes, you know, people would have coverages where, you know, they've had it for years and years, and yeah, maybe they had a great rate back then, and they don't understand the difference now. For them to double their coverage, maybe it's another $20 or $30 more, but they've aged, their health has maybe declined, and I started feeling better about being able to explain it to them and get them to move forward with diversifying their coverages.
Well, it's like we always say, they buy you first. Some people say, they buy you first, they buy company second, and premium third. My experience, over a decade of being in the field personally selling with my own pen back before we had these iPads, when it was just paper and pen. But my personal experience is yes, the biggest takeaway there is yes, they buy you first, unequivocally. But my personal experience is they want to know what it's going to cost them, especially in today's times with the uncertainty in the world, the way things have changed. They want to know what it's going to cost them. And most of the time, as long as they trust you and the premium works for their budget, they really don't care what the brand of the actual insurance company is that you're selling. I mean, I'm saying, not always. There is some instances where they maybe got that in their head that they need company X or what have you, but it doesn't matter. They just want to be able to trust you, buy into what your story, what you're going to do, that you're authentic, legitimate, and that's really what matters, that and meeting their budget while meeting their needs. So, you mentioned something in there that with our new platforms, and for those who've been watching this, we've partnered exclusively with Senior Life Insurance Company. It's based right here out of Thomas. I say right here, we're in Valdosta, but in our backyard, so to speak, right in Thomasville, Georgia. And to be quite honest, quite frank with you, there's a lot of people that we've got a lot of friends in the industry. Folks have called and said, "My goodness, what are you doing? You're going from being in a broker model with 10 to 12 different carrier partners and relationships, and going back down to one exclusive partnership and one relationship. Why would you do that?" Well, there's a lot of reasons. Some we won't get into on this podcast. But one of the main key reasons is been because of the legacy plan, and what the legacy plan is. And of course, Scott mentioned that earlier. And so maybe we'll delve into that just for a few seconds here and kind of talk about it. But to be able to add something of value where people aren't just getting a life insurance policy that's they're going to pay on until they die and not get to use, quote unquote, until the time of their passing. With the legacy plan, what it does is it creates added value so that there is something to help now, while you're living, and B, a component built in to really help decrease the damage, so to speak, from the cost of a funeral, to really add some cushioning to that policy to enable some of those thousands of dollars that they've got inside that policy to virtually be guaranteed to pass on as a legacy to the beneficiary, as opposed to what we see in a lot of cases where, the funeral home ends up pretty much eating up the majority of the final expense policy of the individual. So maybe just, talk a minute about legacy, some of the living benefits, and also what the legacy plan ultimately does in helping ensure that funerals, in a lot of cases, are costing 50% of what they would have cost to a client, all because they've got a senior life policy insured by Senior Life, but also have that legacy assurance plan right there with it coming alongside, and how that works in tandem. So tell us about that a little bit and the advantage it brings.
Okay. So the first major thing in a funeral, one of the largest costs is the products that you have to buy: the casket, the vault, the headstone. And
nearly a 500% markup, in 400 to 500% markup on all that equipment, right?
Yes. That's across the board, pretty much any funeral home. Now, the big thing is you've got not just one casket that everybody's getting. You get to choose from over 200 caskets. The vaults have a 100-year warranty on them. Headstones, lots of different headstones to choose from. But the great thing is it locks those in at today's rates, and even on today's rates, though, you're getting huge discounts. So you're not having to try to purchase that stuff from the funeral home at their inflated rates. Now, beyond that, you have to pay for the opening of the casket, the closing of the casket, the music. I think John said the other day for them to turn on the cassette player and play I'll Fly Away. It costs money for that, too.
It's true, though.
Yeah. But anyhow, we have what, through Senior Life and Legacy, what's called the Wish Team. And they'll actually negotiate all the rates for you. You get a packet, you fill that thing out, you send it in. So your loved ones, once you do pass away, they're not sitting there trying to figure out what mama would have wanted and letting the funeral home talk them into more and more stuff.
So it's really turnkey. Is everything's done ahead of time. Those prices for all that funeral equipment, casket, urn, if you're going to be cremated, whatever, it's all locked in at today's discounted rate. They don't have to pay when they pick those items out, by the way, right?
That's correct.
It's just it gets paid for at the time of passing, okay, out of the proceeds from the final expense policy. But it's all locked in at today's rate. If they live another 20 or 30 years, it's not going to increase on them. It's going to be in place. Again, it's turnkey. The Wish Team handles all that when they pass away. They call the funeral home, let them know the equipment has already been handled, and then while they got them on the phone, they're negotiating the cost of those services down from the funeral home. And what the net effect of that, bottom line is you see funerals. I mean, we had a story in one situation where an individual, had gotten quoted nearly $15,000 for a funeral. Ironically, they had a $15,000 policy, and come out and the thing was, less than half of that. I mean, that's a drastic savings. And what that does is that enables, $5, $6, $7, $8, sometimes $10,000 to be left to go on as a legacy to the wife or the children, the beneficiaries, the people that need it. And a lot of these seniors too, I mean, they're experiencing a decrease in income because when their loved one passes away, they're used to having 2 Social Security incomes, and they're only keeping the greater of the 2 Social Securities. So, on average, at least $400 or $500 a month in most cases leaves the monthly checking account there. I mean, it's not getting at least, and that's not getting deposited anymore. And these seniors, in a lot of cases, they're already living on a fixed income of just Social Security, sometimes trying to decide between food and medicine every month. So we've always taken pride in what we do and the dignity that we bring to a family to be able to have them to have a way and have the financial means to take care of their loved ones in the time of need. But now to double down on that and to have something like the legacy plan that comes along like what I call a 1-2 punch, and it enables, yes, you've got that amount of coverage, but whereas used to that amount of coverage was going to get all, the majority of it was going to get utilized in the cost of that funeral, now we get to say that we got a good portion of it there that's there to help the family during that time of grief, because the last thing you want to do is have added financial burdens at the time you're grieving the loss of a loved one, especially a spouse or a family member. So you've got that aspect, and I think we've done a good job explaining that. And this comes, this is a package deal with Senior Life. I mean, this is what Senior Life brings to the table when you take out a policy with them. So that, but as well, tell us a little bit about the living benefit aspect, which is really, I don't know of a life insurance company anywhere in the country right now that has living benefits, something to help people now while they're living. So tell us about a few of those.
Okay. So right off the top, there's 24/7 telehealth line where your clients can pick up the phone instead of going for minor stuff, instead of going to the express care and sitting there for 3 hours getting coughed on and catching COVID. Sorry, COVID. But anyhow, so they can pick up the phone, get a licensed doctor. If you require prescription medications, they can even call prescription medications into your local pharmacy. Discounts on diabetic supplies, that's huge for diabetics. Discounts on custom shoes if you require any custom shoes for any reason. We all seen grandma this cut the toe out of her shoe because she couldn't afford the custom shoes. She had bunions that wouldn't fit in there though. Discounts on prescription eyeglasses, hearing aids, even up to 75% off on your prescriptions.
That's huge.
Medications. a lot of people don't have prescription coverage,
right?
Especially people that's not turned 65 yet.
Yeah, that's huge. And so with the legacy plan, and then we'll kind of move on, but here's the powerful thing too, is you can put up to 4 other members in the household on that plan, correct?
That's correct.
So 4 other people in the household you can put on that plan. So in other words, you might have one individual that's able to take out the insurance coverage or wants the insurance coverage, but then up to 4 of the people in the household, they can put on that same plan at no additional charge. So they get to pick out their funeral equipment at a discounted rate. They get the negotiation of the funeral services down. They get all those living benefits that we've just talked about and more. And so, where that benefits is in one case, we had one of our agents in a house the other day that the man was too old and had too many health problems. So he couldn't qualify to get the life insurance coverage that he needed. He had just lost some coverage, but the wife she was young enough, healthy enough. And so in a case like that, they really wanted coverage on him, but there was nobody that would insure him. They called us, and we did our best. So we can get about anybody insured, but once you get up, get on up over 80, if you got a lot of health problems, it can limit you some. And so in this particular situation, though, the agent was able to write a policy on the wife and then in turn be able to list him on the legacy plan so that, when his time came, at the very least, he may not have life insurance, but that funeral wouldn't cost near out of pocket as what it would have without that plan. So that's just a quick example. That's something that's just happened, in the past week or so, where we've continued to see the value in that. And not to mention, they've got, return of premium term. We can insure anybody from ages 0 to age 85. And we got products, with them all the way to guaranteed issue. If you might think you're completely uninsurable, but in most cases when people think that, we can get you covered. And Senior Life basically is a turnkey solution for all that for us. So there's a lot of reasons that we've partnered with Senior Life, but one of the main ones is what we just talked about, is the legacy insurance plan, and us to be able to walk in a house and basically be able to lead with something that nobody else is able to offer that really helps these folks and brings some value to the prospects. So that's just one of the things that we're excited about. I know we kind of got a little technical with that, that's probably as technical as we've gotten specifically with insurance products, but it's a game changer. It's something that's different. It's something that stands out, and it's something that everybody needs. And so legacy insurance is a big part of that. So beyond that, tell us a little bit. How do you feel like this business has changed you and your family's life? Just give us some practical, because we got a lot of people listening that may be in the industry, and we're through this series of things. We're trying to address some of the questions and highlight, why we feel like Senior Life is a major win on the prospect of being able to continue to scale and move forward all across the nation with our growth as a company. But what really touches a lot of people is the practical reality of how this business is going to change your life. One thing, that stood out to me a minute ago too, when you sold them water treatment systems, so there's a lot of people in sales that sell vacuum cleaners or sell, encyclopedia sets or books, or, there's still a lot of that goes on. A lot of door-to-door type sales. The water treatment deal is still a pretty big deal, at least in the Southeast. I see signs and trucks and stuff all the time of folks that do that for a living. People that are in timeshare sales. Okay, I'm just giving you some examples, but in some of those, what I call really just strong, you got guerrilla warfare. You get out there and sell and you make it happen, and your destiny is under your control. That's one thing we love about this business. Every day I can get up and look at myself in the mirror, and I don't got to worry about nothing. If I didn't have a company tomorrow, if everybody in the world forsook me, I don't think Connell would ever forsake me, but if you wound up in a situation in life that you felt like you was by yourself, I don't worry a whole lot, because I know my ability to be able to sell. I know the power of this business, and you can go out and have a phenomenal career. You can earn enough with your own pen, as we say in this business, to be in the 1% of earners in the United States. And there's a lot of reassurance in that, because you can't always trust people all the time. You can't always put your trust in what the future's going to hold, what the economy may do. God, this COVID thing we've been through as a country, how it's affected businesses. There's a lot of things you can't control, but you can always control your own productivity. We're in a business that's deemed official, okay? And as long as you got work ethic and you're not scared to work and you're willing to put the excuses behind you and get out there and give it hell 3-4 days a week, you can make a phenomenal 6-figure income. So there's a lot of peace in that when you lay your head on your pillow at night, and if it will be, it's up to me. It's on you. It's on me. We get up and look in the mirror. We set our own destiny. We set our own schedule. I mean, imagine the value behind that. That's one thing I always thank God for, even in times, because what we call the entrepreneurial roller coaster. Darren Hardy wrote a book about it. With any business, you go through times that what I call your limousine ride, jet flying, running around wooing like Ric Flair. And there's times that it tightens up and it's not what you want it to be. It's the stick-to-itiveness, the longevity, the ability to be financially secure, to be able to keep going and make it through those times, But the great peace in all that, because you're going to go through up and downs in your life, in your business, in your marriage, and your career is part of it, But the ability to be able to get up and know that ultimately you're in control of your future, and the value of time, and to know that, how awesome is it to have the freedom to be able to set your own schedule, to do what you want to live by your own rules. Really, that's what we do. We live by our own rules. We want to travel, we get up and travel, We might let each other know we're going somewhere, but we ain't got to ask nobody's permission. We're in control of our future, our destiny, our paycheck. We create our paycheck every week. I can decide how much money I want to make, and then I go take the amount of leads that I need to see the amount of people, because it's a science as to how many leads I need to take. And if I see enough people, I'm going to make the amount of money that I set out to make for that week. It's just the bottom line. And so, we really do live a phenomenal life, the ability to set our own schedule. And even sometimes when I look back at the tight times or some of the tough times we've been through, my God, there's a ton of people would want to trade places with us for the problems we got. You know what I'm saying? And so, I find the weeks that's rough that I've complained, is still on target to be, a top 1% earner in the United States. It's just not as much as maybe I wanted it to be that week. And so sometimes you have to kind of slap yourself when you feel some of that negativity coming on you, because maybe it was a rough week or a hard week, and you got to be like,
I didn't make but $3,000 this week.
Jesus
I had
Christ.
a bad week.
Yeah, I didn't make but $4,000, and the world's coming to an end. You got to just kind of slap yourself. But that's what top achievers do. That's what earners do. We demand the most out of our success. That's why we are where we are. It's why we get to live the way we live. So I don't necessarily want to crush that thing in myself that's hard on myself. Because one thing about life, if you're hard on yourself, life will be infinitely easier on you. That's one thing I learned early on. And if you're easy on yourself, life's gonna kick your ass. So I'd rather kick my own ass than have it kicked by somebody else, and control my own destiny, control my future. So we live phenomenal lives, even during the times that it's not going the way we want it to go. We still live wonderful lives. We still have wonderful income. We'll still go eat a phenomenal meal, and have a phenomenal bottle of wine and just enjoy life. And it's a privilege to be able to do that. But we work hard to be able to do that. But tell us a little bit, just some practical examples of how you feel the business has changed your life, increased the value and the richness of you and your family's life.
So before I got into the final expense insurance industry, we were lucky to maybe have one vacation a year. Sometimes if it was a tight year, it might be every other year, which that was put on a credit card, and we spent the rest of the year trying to pay it off.
Right.
I'll be honest with you. If you asked me to count how many vacations I've been on this year, I couldn't count them. I have to go back and look at the camera roll.
I wish you'd take your ass to work. You vacation more than me now. So
yeah, well, but anyhow, so it's not about the vacations, but the experiences and the opportunities, the options Money ain't gonna do nothing. It's an inanimate object, but it's what you choose to do with the money to be able to help other people. I've never been able to do that before in my life. I've been able to donate to several charities and causes here over the past couple of years, but provide unbelievable experiences for my wife, my family, my kids that they would have never gotten to experience. I would have never gotten to experience if it weren't for the final expense insurance industry. Dream car's always been a Maserati. Well, I'm driving one parked out front out there. Never would I've ever dreamt that would have come to materialization. But here it is. I'm living the dream, as they say. But I'm living my dream, not the American dream. I'm living my dream.
Yeah. So, and that's one thing I was going to mention. It reminded me of a point I was getting to earlier when I was talking about the different sales fields and that people are in. So, when you sold those water treatment plants, though, did you make any residual income for those you sold?
I made a good commission, but that was it. So if I didn't make a sale this week, I didn't get paid.
Yeah,
this
so
week.
Upfront commission, but then it's not loading the hopper for anything in the future. And so, again, the great thing about the insurance industry, and particularly the final expense life insurance industry, is every time you make a sale, you're loading that hopper because you get advanced. We've got 2 advanced options there, but anywhere from 7 to 9 months, you get advanced commission, and then you get pay through. So in other words, you get to a point there that you might, if you're on a 9-month advance, for example, but then you get 10, 11, and 12 as earned. Well, after you've been in the business a year, you've got 3 months of those 10, 11, and 12s hitting you in 1 month every single month. You got thousands of dollars coming in monthly that you're not, quote unquote, having to work for right then. And that doesn't count your renewals. Okay. And then you're making a percentage on your entire book of business for a decade. And so that really, over the years, that begins to add up. And, just to be quite frank with you, I mean, you get to a point that, you got a 6-figure a year income coming in just off of your renewal business, not counting your 10, 11, and 12-month pay through, not counting your 9-month advance, which is the biggest chunk of what's hitting you on a regular basis. So it's really a powerful model for residual income. It builds what I like to call massive passive income, the passive income that's continuing to flow to you, that you're not having to go out and work for right then. And that's the name of the game. That's when you have money working for you instead of you always working for money. When you went and sold them water treatment plants, when you go sell a vacuum cleaner, when you sell a timeshare, whatever it may be, when you go make them sales, you're making that sale for that initial pop, but that's all you're making it for. And unless you're investing elsewhere or otherwise other places, unless you're investing in real estate, or in the market or somewhere like that where you're getting your money out there doing something to work for you. The great thing about the insurance business is the insurance business model gets the money working for you without you having to take it and reinvest it somewhere else. It's one thing I don't think we've talked about on here before, but that's one thing I love about it. It's because literally that client base you're building is causing money to work for you in your favor instead of you always having to work for money. And as long as you stay hard at it, it just continues to build and roll and multiply and multiply. And the bigger it goes down the hill, the bigger it gets. And so that's one of the reasons we love this business, is that residual income component. And that's what helps you take them trips. That's what helps you go, because Scott may not be out selling that particular week, so he's not got any 9-month advances that's hitting him, immediately, those big deposits that we all love, compounding over a week's time. But he's got renewal and residual income coming in while he's in the mountains or while he's at the beach, and that's continuing to come in no matter where he's at. He gets up every morning like I do and everybody else in this business does, and you pull up your bank statement online and look and see what all's hit your account overnight. It's a wonderful feeling.
Got to check that every morning.
Every morning. It makes you feel warm and fuzzy, helps you start your day off right, So that is a powerful thing with this business. And it motivates you, because when you get up and see, my goodness, let's say it's Thursday morning and you get up and You know, you got 4, 5, 6 deposits and thousands of dollars has hit your account by Thursday off what you did Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. It'll make you want to get out there and work an extra day. It'll make you want to do something because you realize what you was able to do with your time. But, you know, that confidence and being confident in yourself and just having a work ethic and going out there and going to work, I mean, that's what's changed Scott's life. That's what has changed Clint Ashley's life, you know, that was on here last week talking about had filed bankruptcy on top of bankruptcy. And I remember them days for Clint. You know, I remember what that was like for him, and to see him totally change his mindset and step out of that. And listen, it's not easy. I mean, this is a phenomenal business, but you go through difficult times. Sometimes you go through difficult seasons, you know, but you just keep trucking, you know. You can give in, give up, or give it all you got. I mean, that's the choices you got in life, and you just keep moving forward. But again, that's why we love the business, because the residual income component, you may have some rough weeks in the business here and there, but it helps you deal with them a lot more when you still got a couple $1,000s hitting your account. Even if you had a crappy week this particular week, you realize, my goodness, you know, how many people get to say they have a crappy week in sales and still got thousands of dollars hitting their account? So, I mean, it's just the power of the business. And, I mean, that's the kind of things that we want to talk about on this show a little bit more and on the podcast here over the course of the next couple of weeks, because we want you guys that's listening, our listeners and viewers, to hear the story. Some of you, you're in a sales career right now, but it's unfulfilling. It's not what you thought it was going to be. It's not taking you where you need to go. It's not really bringing any tangible change to your life. Some of you are already, you know, in the insurance industry, particularly in the sales industry. I mean, we just in the past few weeks, we've recruited, I know at least 3 different people that have left large national organizations that just, they called us and said, listen, we've seen your advertisements. Can you help us? Can you get us leads? We need leads. You know, these companies preach leads and they get us in leads, but it's killing us. They're wanting us to buy, you know, we're having to buy a minimum of 40 Facebook leads, you know, that's costing us $1,000 a week to go out and see the people we need to see. And it's just kicking our butt. You know, and for those of you that are in a business that deals with leads, I mean, Facebook online leads is some of your more, they can be worked and they're a good supplement, but they're not meant to be your primary lead source. And so we're getting a lot of calls from people that are coming from those organizations all over the country, you know, just in the past few weeks. And that's what we're seeing more of. And so there's a lot of people that promise a lot of things, especially in the insurance industry, when they're trying to recruit you. You know, it's kind of like those commercials when you want a new car and you hear those commercials. It's Saturday and you just got done having lunch with the family, ain't got nowhere to be, and you hear one of them commercials that just makes it sound like they just gonna roll over and about give you a brand new car, you know, and they make it sound so good on the radio you can smell the new car smell. And you get there and it starts good and they drive you in it, you know, and you run around and you got that new car smell on you. But then once you get into the finance room with the finance manager and start practically working out the numbers and looking at it, a lot of times you're going to go ahead and buy the car because they done got that hook in your jaw, but you don't leave with that payment that they advertise for you online, because that was just meant to get you on the car lot, okay? And there's a lot of people that promise a lot of things in the insurance industry. I got in the industry before social media was so heavy, and there was all these groups, you know, and Medicare groups and final expense groups and all these chat communities and all this stuff, which, you know, I got my own opinion about a lot of them. It sounds like to me, the ones I've checked out, I don't know how people can work and be on there running their mouth as much as they do. But there's just so much misinformation out there, and so many people will tell you anything in the world. They tell you to try to get you wearing their jersey and waving their flag. And some people just have to learn the hard way. They have to sift through all that and get their head beat around a few times and realize the grass ain't always greener. So just, if you're listening to this and you're in the insurance industry and you're struggling, you know, you don't have a system that works. You don't have a lead source with quality leads, with exclusive leads. You You're finding out that you're giving leads that other people have worked or that are years old or that are just not effective. Listen, you reach out to us, give us a call, come at us through social media, send us a message. We'd love to talk with you. But, no matter what aspect of life you're listening from, maybe you're a cashier at a dollar store. I mean, wherever you're at, this is a career that can change your life if you're willing. This is the big if you're willing to harbor no excuses, to take full ownership of your action, what you do and don't do, what you accomplish and don't accomplish. And if you're willing to be disciplined and have a will, like John talked about last week, will always outdo skill, outperform. The skill don't matter, it's the will.
You can learn skill.
You can learn skill. If you got the will to win and you're tired, you have to get to a place in life that you're sick and tired of being sick and tired. You're only going to change in life until the pain of not taking action becomes greater than the pain of what it'll take to take action. Because it's going to be painful to take action. If you've never been used to getting out and hustling a sales career, it's going to be painful. It's going to be a little uncomfortable for you at first. You're going to have to get used to it. Same way if you get into the gym for the first time ever, or you've been out for a decade and decide you're going to start back, it's going to be painful. You're going to do squats one day and the next morning realize that when you go sit down on the toilet, that you're going to fall in, you know what I'm saying? Because you got no mobility from this little squat down to you just fall on the commode. Those of you that have ever worked out will know what I'm talking about. So there's going to be pain and change, okay? Change is uncomfortable. But if you're willing to get in, and I will say it's a rarity nowadays. People, do they have excuses? They got excuses, Connell. They got excuses.
Man, they got lots of them.
So, lots of people just don't want to work. They think there's some model that's just going to, things that's going to lay down for them. Listen, if it will be, it's up to me. The only way change comes to your life is you get up and you take massive action and you make it change. So if you're interested in a career with us, if you're already in the insurance industry, and you just feel like you need a system that works, you want simplicity, you're tired of, having 1,000 different products and 100 different companies, you want something that you can take and make scalable and grow your own business and have your own agents all over the country, then we're probably a good option for you to look at. We keep our word, we'll do what we tell you we're going to do. And that's why we're bringing people like Clint Scott on here, folks that have got rid of the excuses, that own their own success or lack thereof, and take it week in and week out, but stay disciplined and stay committed to the process, and it's changed their lives. And I've watched people since Scott bought his dream car, beat the heck out of him on social media and run their mouth. And, we know Connell's at a point now, he knows what I've dealt with for years. You know what it's like to catch some stones. But listen, I make no apologies for living nice, living good, liking what I like. And I'll be the first to admit I have probably been too flashy before in public on social media and put too much out there. I've over the years, I get older, I've toned it down a little more, because some fights just ain't worth having. But I'm also going to show people enough to let them know, listen, I'm from South Georgia, from Adel, Georgia, grew up in Sparks and, single wide trailer on the railroad track when I was a little kid, went from there to living in apartments, and parents, we worked hard, and we finally built a home. And I got a story just about like anybody's. I wasn't raised with no silver spoon, but we was raised to work hard, to pay our bills, to work hard, to get out there, keep your credit good, make things happen for yourself. And that work ethic is what's got me anywhere I'm at today, and that's what's got you where you're at today. And we've learned to, that our own success or lack thereof is our own responsibility. And that successful people do every day when unsuccessful people do only occasionally. So, we're going to continue to bring over the next few episodes different people that's got different life stories, but that leads back to this common thread of the final expense life insurance industry will change your life. So maybe you're in sales, but you're selling water treatment machines, and you got no residual income, nothing to show for it after that initial sale. Again, maybe you're in the insurance industry, feel like you've got a raw deal, or they're just not getting the attention you need. Maybe you're not in the sales field at all. Again, reach out to us. But I thought we'd end with something kind of funny and tell a story here. I'll try to think of mine while you telling yours. But we deal with a lot of people, and so on a day-to-day basis. and we see a lot of stuff. Is there any story that sticks out that's just a hilarious story about something you've ran into when you've been in a house with somebody that is tellable that we ain't got to put an R rating on?
Well, let me tell you about this one. I was in this lady's house. This will get a little graphic for some of you, but it's not R-rated or X-rated or nothing. But well, actually, I take that back. We weren't in the house. She came outside because she didn't want me in her house. And I'm looking as I'm knocking on the door, and there's a big old green blowflies all on the inside of the door, so I can imagine how it smells on the inside of the house. And I could tell when she opened the door, it about knocked me down. But lady looked like she hadn't had a bath in days. I thought she had just got out of the shower because her hair was wet. Come to find out it was grease in her hair. She hadn't had a bath. But there was a roach crawling through her hair, and I'm sitting there trying to talk to this lady with a straight face, and that roach, it finally crawls out of her hair onto the windowsill and starts coming towards me. So I had to make up an excuse. Miss Jones, that sun sure is shining in my eyes. Let me scoot up a little bit so he wouldn't get on. I thought he was going to come check some of my hair out a little bit, but that was one of my most recent escapades.
So from time to time, we end up in some entertaining homes because we do go, we whether we make an appointment or show up because somebody sent in a card requesting more information. You know, the majority of all of our business are with our field force, which we're in the middle of getting ready to start a actual call center now. That's going to be a different aspect for those that want to get into that side of it. But we do run into some entertaining folks from time to time. I was trying to think of, I got so many that at this point it kind of becomes a blur. I will say this: when I first got into business, I was training with my granddaddy one time, and he ended up walking into this house because the guy yelled and said, "Yeah, come on in. We're out in the country, you know." And so I followed him in, and we sit down, and the house was pretty dark, and the guy was sitting in a particularly dark corner of the house. And so we ended up going through the deal. We're sitting right in front of a window, so we got sunlight coming in, where we can see to right. And so we end up writing the guy insurance, and we get ready to leave. And the guy goes to get up, to see us to the door. And he'd been sitting naked over there in the corner the whole time.
So y'all had a hard sale.
I don't know if it was a hard sell or not. I wouldn't have wanted to have found out. But anyway, we've got tons of stories because people's going to be people. It's kind of the entertaining part of it. You don't. It's not all that crazy. We're telling some of the crazy ones, but you don't know what you're going to end up on. But it does make the business kind of fun because you don't have a clue. People is going to be people, and you see all kinds, shapes, and sizes. And sometimes you see more than you. Sometimes you see more than you want to see of them. So anyhow, but yeah, this business, it's not always. People got this idea that I talk to a lot of people, and they're like, "Well, yeah, y'all would do good in the town I live in. There's a lot of money up here, a lot of rich people." Well, we have to explain it. We're not. It's not like we're financial advisors and doing big investments for people. It is the financial services industry, but our clientele is normally just your regular average Joe, everyday middle class and below person. That's 97% of the population is what purchases Final Expense life insurance. But that's good for us because we got a huge clientele, and we can pretty much live anywhere in the country and do what we do. But a lot of times people think it's all suits because they might see us dress up on social media for, conventions or things that we go to and traveling that we do. But it's day to day. It's not real glamorous, but it can provide a glamorous lifestyle if you work it hard and you do what you're supposed to do day in and day out. So, well, listen, we hope you have enjoyed this today. And, we're not going to do too many more of these, but we're going to do another one next. Next episode we'll have Robbie Hilton on here, who's a lot of people are aware of if you follow us on social media at all, and has led the company for a number of years in sales. And so we're going to have him on here, kind of let him tell a little bit of his story and talk a little bit about the business. And then we're going to actually have the president of Senior Life, Ron Powell. We're probably actually going to shoot that one from Senior Life headquarters in Thomasville. and that should be coming out here. Probably will be the episode right after the one with Robbie coming up. So just kind of let you guys know, give you something to look forward to. And Ron's got a phenomenal story. Great guy. Has experienced extreme success and done it through more adversity, honestly, than a lot of people have ever experienced. But he's never let it stop him. So it's a phenomenal story, and we're looking forward to having him on the podcast as well. So listen, be sure to follow us on YouTube. If you're following us on YouTube already, go follow us on one of the podcast platforms of your choice. We're on all of them. You name it, and we're there. So go follow us. Share this episode when you see it on social media. Like it. Leave some comments. Tell your friends about it. Continue to help us grow the Separation Nation. And we'll see you right here next time on the podcast.
Remember, if you've never been accused of selling drugs, you're not grinding hard enough.
There you go. Way to end it. Y'all have a good one. We'll see you next time on Separation Nation.